Reviews is a flexible feature on Expert LMS, so as well as being used for things like appraisals and performance reviews, you can also use this for induction, back to work interviews, and mental health reviews, as just some sort of examples. To access, click Reviews in the menu on the left side of your screen, and you'll need to come to this tab, Revuew Cycles. Every review you make is called a cycle in the system. To get started, click the creAIt button at the top right of your screen to make this dialog box appear. There are three types of review you can complete in Expert LMS. The first of which is ad hoc or one-off, and the name is self-explanatory. This is for use for a review that's on demand that you could also place in a career path stage, so it can just be used as and when it's required. Option 2 in the middle is for a recurring review that happens automatically on a regular basis between 1 and 12 months, and the cycle begins from when a user is first enrolled onto the review. As example, if you added a new user into your system and gave them this review on the 1st of June that was every 6 months, their first review would open on the 1st of December. The final option is for a fixed date review. So this review will open for everyone enrolled onto it on the same date every time it becomes available. First of all, you'll need to name this cycle in this box here. And then you'll also need to decide how long a user has to complete this review in days. For example, they might be given 14 days to complete it. The final option here is if you want to upload a document for the user to be able to view as they answer their review questions, for example, a PDF. If you've decided to choose a recurring or a fixed date review, you'll need to use the Scheduling tab next. Let's start with a recurring review. Here, you can decide how often this review recurs between 1 and 12 months. So again, if it's an annual review, you can put 12 in this box. You may also want to delay the start of this review for a user as well. So for example, you might want the first 6 weeks of their enrolment to just be about induction and then the cycle for their annual review kick in. So if you want to delay, you can enter it in months and weeks in this box. If you leave it to 0, it will just start recurring from the moment they're added to the system. If you go back and you choose a fixed date review, and then head to scheduling, the option is slightly different. So here you can pick the start date for the review each time the cycle begins, and then you can decide how often that recurs. So as the example shows on screen, if you chose the 1st of February and recurred every 12 months, it will show the next 5 review dates for you on the screen. However, if you change this to say 6 months, you'll notice now that the reviews begin on the 1st of Feb and August respectively across the next 5 reviews. If you're going to hire someone just before a review date starts, you can choose a period before that review in which to ignore new starters. So for example, if your review was beginning on the 1st of Feb, but you were hiring someone on the 28th of January, you might choose to ignore the period of 4 weeks before that review date so that those people skip that one and go into the next review cycle. If you're choosing an ad hoc or one-off review, there is also a scheduling option here as well. This is good if you just want the users to have one review that's delayed from the moment that they begin employment with you. So for example, if you wanted a 6-week review for everybody from the moment they were employed, you could add this to their account, but delay the release by 6 weeks, like so. Once you've chosen your type of review and the scheduling that's required, there are some further settings in the Settings tab for you to consider. The first one to consider is whether you want this to be a scored review. When this is switched on, answers that the users give in their reviews can be scored and then graded, and we'll come on to that later in a different video. This is useful because then you can analyze performance across a user's answers and see where they might be missing gaps in their training. Next, you can choose to enable the manager's answers to be hidden from the employee as they answer their questions. Further down, you can allow managers and users to comment on each other's answers in a review. And finally, you may need to restrict a review to only be run by certain managers. This is quite a niche setting and perhaps only to be used by those higher up level admins in the system who need to be reviewed by a certain person in the business. Once you're happy with all of your settings and your schedule and the type of review, you can go ahead and click Create.